We live in a world that glorifies speed, quick replies, fast results, instant success. The faster you go, the more valuable you seem. Productivity is a currency. And if you're not moving, you fear you're falling behind. Rest becomes suspicious. Stillness feels like failure. But why does slowing down feel so wrong? Why do we feel guilty when we pause? The answer isn't laziness, it's conditioning. You were taught that your worth is in what you do. So when you're not doing, you question if you still matter. If even rest becomes another task to optimize. I'll relax when I've earned it, we tell ourselves. But the bar keeps moving. There's always more to chase. Slowing down feels unnatural, not because it's bad, but because we've forgotten how. We mistake momentum for meaning, and busyness for purpose. Yet inside, something aches. A quiet part of you longs to breathe, to stretch without rushing, to be without proving. Notice it when you finally stop. In the silence between to-do lists, in the pause after burnout. But stopping feels dangerous, as if you might never start again. Or worse, as if you'll have to feel everything you've been running from. Because going fast numbs things. When you're always doing, you don't have to feel. You stay ahead of the discomfort, until your body says no, until the anxiety creeps in when you're alone, until you forget what it's like to be at peace. It's not your fault. The world rewards urgency. Even your rest is expected to be productive. Use your weekend wisely. Make your downtime count. We're taught to earn rest, not receive it. But what if slowness wasn't a sin? What if it was a kind of wisdom, a way back to yourself? Imagine moving through your day gently, not rushing from task to task, but being present with each step. At first, it feels unfamiliar. Your mind will protest. It will whisper you're falling behind. That's okay. It's just the old rhythm trying to keep you hooked. But you don't have to obey it. You are allowed to go slow. You are allowed to rest without earning it. You're allowed to be without proving anything. This isn't weakness. It's a return to balance. A quiet rebellion against the noise. And it begins with noticing. Noticing how fast you've been moving. And asking, what am I running from? Often the answer surprises us. Maybe it's fear of not being enough. Or fear that if we stop, we'll lose our place. But you're not a machine. You're not built for endless output. You are a living being with rhythms, cycles, and needs. Trees don't grow in a day. Rivers don't rush in straight lines. Even the moon rests in darkness. So why do we expect ourselves to always shine? To always produce, always perform? It's not sustainable. It's not kind. Slowing down is not giving up. It's remembering what matters. A fast life isn't necessarily a full one, and a quiet life can still be deeply meaningful. You are allowed to redefine what success feels like. What if success meant peace? What if it meant waking up without dread? What if it meant liking who you are when no one is watching? These are quiet questions. They don't shout, they whisper. You can only hear them when you slow down enough to listen. So let this be your invitation. To pause, to breathe, not to fix yourself, not to improve, but simply to be. This is not the end of your growth. It's the beginning of your healing. Growth isn't always about climbing. Sometimes it's about rooting. Rest is not a break from life. Rest is part of life. And you are still worthy, even when you're not moving. So take your time. Let stillness be your teacher. You're allowed to slow down. Slowing down doesn't always feel peaceful at first. Sometimes it feels like falling behind, like you're being lazy, weak, or irresponsible. Our culture rewards momentum, not stillness. We praise the grind, the hustle, the constant upgrading. But rarely do we celebrate rest without a reason. You say you're taking time off, and people ask what for? As if resting needs justification. As if you owe the world a performance report. This pressure seeps into our bones. We internalize the noise, the need to prove, to chase, to do, until stillness feels unnatural. The moment you stop, the guilt creeps in. You check your phone. You open another tab. You feel like you're wasting something. Time, potential, worth. But what if the pause is not a waste? but a quiet becoming? What if slowing down is where healing starts, where clarity returns? Productivity has become our currency of value, but you are not a machine. You were never meant to be one. There's a difference between being efficient and being alive. You are not here to optimize every moment. You are here to experience it. Sometimes the most meaningful growth happens in silence, like seeds in the soil, invisible but real. If you plant a tree and dig it up daily to check its roots, it won't grow. But leave it be, and it reaches for the sky. Maybe you need to trust yourself the same way. The discomfort you feel when slowing down isn't proof you're doing something wrong. It's proof you're stepping out of an old rhythm, one that no longer serves you. You were trained to believe that value equals speed, but peace often lives in the opposite direction, in the slowness, the softness, the spaces in between. Rest isn't always a nap. Sometimes it's a boundary. Sometimes it's saying no. It's turning off your notifications. It's letting an evening remain unproductive. It's watching the sun set without thinking of tomorrow. Slowing down can feel rebellious, because it is. It's choosing your humanity over your resume. The world tells you, if you rest, you'll fall behind. But behind what, exactly? A finish line no one can define. There's no final scoreboard in life. No medal ceremony for the busiest person. It's just moments, choices, presence. What if you've already arrived at something precious, but you're moving too fast to notice it? What if rest is the only way to see it? When you slow down, you begin to hear yourself. It's not the critic, not the noise, but the quiet voice underneath it all. The one that says, you're allowed to pause. You don't need to earn your rest. You are worthy even now. And when you hear that voice, everything softens. The weight lifts just a little. The breath deepens. Slowing down is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom, of knowing that you cannot pour from an empty cup, trusting that you are more than your to-do list, that your presence matters more than your output, that peace is not the prize, it's the path. So take the walk without rushing. Let the tea steep, the silence speak. You are not running out of time. You're not behind. You are right on time for your life. The truth is, rest is not a detour. It's part of the road. Slowing down might be the only way to move forward, because when you pause, you see more clearly. You reconnect with what matters. You find meaning again. Not in achievement, but in being. In feeling the wind on your face. In laughing without a reason. The rush will always be there. But peace waits for you, patiently, quietly. All you have to do is stop, just for a moment, and remember who you are when you're not performing. You're not a machine. You're not a project. You're a person. And that in itself is enough. Even when you're still, especially when you're still. We've been taught that slowing down is dangerous, that it means you'll fall behind, that someone else will take your place if you rest. But the cost of always keeping up is rarely talked about. It's not just exhaustion. It's the quiet erosion of your joy. The dull ache that settles into your chest when life becomes only tasks. When days blur into weeks, and you don't remember the last time you felt fully alive. We lose more than time when we move too fast. We lose ourselves. Rushing doesn't just take your energy, it steals your presence. You forget how to notice small things, the way sunlight moves across your room, the warmth of tea in your hands, the sound of someone saying your name gently. Constant motion numbs the senses that tether us to meaning. You may get more done, but at what cost? You become efficient at life, but disconnected from living. You smile, but you don't feel joy. You achieve, but it doesn't sink in. You see beauty, but you're too tired to be moved by it. We were not built to operate like machines. Our value is not in our productivity. You are not a factory of accomplishments. You are a human being with limits, softness, and seasons. But we forget this, because rest has been framed as weakness, as laziness, as falling short, and so we shame ourselves for slowing down. Even when our body is begging us to, even when our heart whispers, pause. There is a quiet violence in pushing through when we need to stop. We become strangers to our own needs. And the body, when unheard, begins to scream in other ways. Anxiety, insomnia, brain fog, a sense of never being fully here. These aren't signs of failure. They're symptoms of disconnection. They're signals that something inside you is out of sync. We don't burn out because we're weak. We burn out because we've forgotten how to be gentle with ourselves. Slowing down isn't the problem. It's the shame we attach to it. The inner critic that calls you lazy for needing a break. The voice that says you haven't earned rest yet. You must prove your worth first. But worth isn't something to be earned. You're already worthy, even before the to-do list. You're already enough, even before the praise. Somewhere along the way, we forgot how to be without striving. We forgot the wisdom of stillness, of letting life happen without always managing it, and of trusting that rest has its place too. Look at nature. Even the most powerful rivers slow down to reflect. Even trees pause in winter. Nothing in life blooms all year, and yet you expect yourself to. Why? Who told you that non-stop effort is the only way to matter? Silence is a waste of time? That joy must be earned? The world may reward constant output, but your soul doesn't care about trophies. It cares about depth. It longs for presence. It's for real connection. For mornings where you don't rush to the next thing. For moments when you are simply here, and that is enough. We live in a time that praises hustle and speed. But wisdom often moves slowly. Healing takes time. Listening takes time. Real growth doesn't shout. It unfolds. Quietly. Patiently. In the spaces where you let yourself breathe. So what if you stopped chasing? What if you trusted that life would meet you in the pause? That your worth wouldn't disappear if you rested? That the world wouldn't fall apart if you stepped back? That maybe, just maybe, you would begin to feel whole again? Slowing down doesn't mean giving up. It means returning to yourself. It's what matters. It's the quiet knowing inside you that says, you don't need to do more to be more. You already are. Can you believe that? Even for a moment. Can you soften just a little? Not because you're broken, but because you are beautifully human and deserving of rest. We often confuse motion with meaning, productivity with purpose. But what if the truest moments of growth happen in stillness? What if slowing down isn't a retreat, but a return? A return to what matters. A return to who we are when we're not performing. The discomfort we feel when we pause. It isn't failure, it's unfamiliarity. We've been trained to associate rest with laziness, to believe that worth must be earned, that every breath must be justified. But nature never hurries, and yet everything is accomplished. The tree doesn't rush its blooming. The tides don't apologize for being slow, so why should you? There's something sacred about unproductive time. It's the space where ideas form and healing begins. But we don't know how to be in it without guilt. We check our phones, fill the silence, schedule the nothingness, because emptiness scares us. We fear what will surface when we finally stop. But the truth is, what surfaces is often exactly what we need to face. The ache we've been ignoring, the tiredness we've been denying, the longing we've buried under busyness. Slowing down invites us to listen, not to the world's expectations, but to our own soul. It asks us, gently, what hurts? What do you need? It makes space for answers we didn't know we were missing. The answers that don't shout but whisper, that don't demand but offer. And in those whispers, we begin to remember ourselves, not as machines, but as humans, tender, complex, deserving of rest. The world won't fall apart if you slow down. Your to-do list won't vanish, but your heart might soften, your breath might deepen, and in that pause, clarity might return. Rest isn't the opposite of progress. It's the soil that allows it. You are allowed to take breaks, to have days that don't impress anyone, to be a person, not a performance. The most meaningful things in life don't come from speed. They come from presence, from being where your feet are, from noticing the world instead of rushing through it. The sun still rises, even if you sleep in. The sky still holds beauty, even when you're not productive. Your worth isn't reduced because you needed a slow day. Slowness doesn't mean you're behind. It means you're wise enough to rest. To recognize that running without pause only leads to burnout. But resting, truly resting, can lead to renewal. Let the world spin without you for a moment. You won't miss your life. You'll finally start to feel it. The texture of time, the warmth of quiet moments, the richness of noticing. Slowing down lets you savor. Not everything has to be earned or optimized. Some things like peace are simply received. In stillness, we stop grasping. We start trusting. We begin to believe that we are already enough, not because we checked off every box, because we are here, breathing, alive, capable of loving and being loved. Even in the pause, especially in the pause, there is nothing wrong with going slow. In fact, it may be what's been missing all along. The world rewards hustle, but your soul remembers ease. Listen to it, even if it feels strange. Especially if it feels strange. That's often how healing begins. You don't have to earn rest. You just have to allow it. There's no explanation needed, no guilt required. You are still worthy, even when you're still, even when you're quiet, even when you're not achieving. Let that truth sink in. Let it find the parts of you that are tired. Let it soothe them, because sometimes the most radical thing you can do is stop running and simply be. Be here. Be slow. Be whole. Just as you are. There's a strange fear that often creeps in when we rest. The fear of being left behind, as if the world is a race and everyone else is gaining ground while we sit still. But stillness doesn't mean surrender. It means choosing where your energy goes, instead of giving it away automatically. Slowing down is not falling behind. It's stepping out of comparison, because in the quiet, there's no scoreboard. Much of our fear of slowing down is inherited. It's passed down through systems that prize productivity over peace. We've been taught that value equals output, that unless we're building, we're breaking. Unless we're pushing forward, we're falling apart. But what if that's a lie? What if being human isn't about constant motion, but honest connection? To yourself, to the world, to your breath. That connection can only happen when there's space. And space is created by slowing down. Your worth does not evaporate in your stillness. It becomes more visible. Think of a pond when the water calms. The ripples fade and suddenly you can see the bottom. That clarity doesn't come from movement. It comes from rest. In our rush to be more, we often become less present. We miss the beauty that blooms in the pause. Beauty never demands speed. Notice how a tree grows. It doesn't rush to the sky, reaches slowly with patience. It trusts time, and we can too. When we slow down, we return to a pace that life can actually sustain, a rhythm that breathes. Fast living burns through our inner resources. We become dry, cracked, brittle. Rest is the rain that softens that hardness. Slowing down gives us back to ourselves, because we lose ourselves in the constant chase. We forget why we started running, or what we were even running toward. Rest helps us remember, and remembering is a kind of healing. You don't need permission to take things slow. You don't have to earn the right to be still. Stillness is your birthright. Just like movement is, they're both part of being alive. The inhale and the exhale. Our culture may not celebrate slowness, but your soul still needs it. Your body needs it. Your mind needs the silence to reorient. When you feel guilty for slowing down, ask, who benefits from that guilt? Who profits when you never rest? The answer often isn't you. Rest is an act of resistance. It disrupts a system that only values you when you're producing, and values less the deeper, unseen parts of you. Your wisdom, your softness, your being. Slowing down isn't a detour. It's a real path, a valuable one that's walked by those brave enough to listen inwardly, who trust that rushing isn't the only way to get somewhere meaningful. That slowness can hold meaning too. The rhythm of your life doesn't have to match the rhythm of the world. You can go at your own speed. You can honor your own seasons. Not every season is meant for harvest. Some are meant for stillness, for regrouping, for quiet growth. And those seasons are just as sacred. In slowing down, you're not abandoning your life. You're stepping back into it more fully, more gently. You don't have to be in motion to matter. You don't have to chase meaning. It often finds you in the calm. In the cup of tea, you didn't rush. In the walk without your phone. In the breath you actually noticed. These moments seem small, but they restore you. They say, you are not a machine. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to go slow. When you rest, you return to something ancient. A truth we often forget in the noise. That presence matters more than pace. That how you feel matters more than how fast you go. And that peace is something you can choose. Even if the world doesn't. Especially when the world doesn't. It's okay to not be moving fast. It's okay to not be achieving constantly. It's okay to be where you are. Life is not a race. It's a rhythm. one you're allowed to dance with. Slowly, softly, in your own way. Maybe you don't need to do more. Maybe you need to feel more and feel fully. Maybe rest isn't what's in your way. Maybe rest is the way home. You haven't failed by slowing down. You finally started listening, and that's not weakness. That's wisdom. The world won't applaud you for slowing down. There are no medals for choosing rest over rush. But sometimes peace is the quietest form of bravery. Slowing down feels wrong because it defies the momentum of the world. It's like stepping off a treadmill while everyone else keeps running. You feel left behind, even if your soul is finally catching up. Our culture equates productivity with virtue. If you're not doing something, you fear you're wasting your life. But maybe the deeper waste is never being fully present for it. Rest doesn't mean you're lazy. It means you trust life enough not to sprint through it. Stillness isn't failure. It's an act of trust. It's a way of saying, I believe I'm enough, even when I'm not performing. When you slow down, discomfort often rises. Old emotions, buried questions, long-avoided truths. You finally have space to feel them. This is why many people fear slowing down. It's not the stillness itself, it's what it reveals. But what if that's not a bad thing? What if the discomfort is just truth asking to be seen? When you rush, you can stay distracted. But when you rest, you begin to meet yourself. And maybe that's what healing actually looks like. Not grand transformations, but quiet reckonings. Slowing down lets you hear the whispers you missed, the gentle voice of intuition, the ache that wants acknowledgement, the dreams you abandoned for busyness. So much waits for you in silence, but you'll miss it if you're always in motion. You don't have to justify your rest. You don't need to earn it. You already deserve it. That's a truth capitalism won't tell you, but your body will. Your mind will. Your heart already knows. It's okay to do less. It's okay to do nothing. You are not behind. You are exactly where you are meant to be. The rush to be ahead often leads us away from ourselves. Slowness brings us back. There's no need to compare your pace to anyone else's. This isn't a race. There's no prize for exhaustion. You're allowed to live gently. You're allowed to live softly. In fact, you were made for it. Nature teaches us this all the time. Trees do not bloom year-round. Rivers don't rush endlessly. Even the sun sets. Rest is not the opposite of life. It is part of it, a vital rhythm. Return to balance. What if you stopped fighting that rhythm? What if you surrendered to it? Not out of defeat, but out of wisdom. Slowing down takes strength, the kind of strength that doesn't shout. The kind that allows, that trusts, that simply is. The more you honor your natural pace, the less you'll need external permission. You'll stop asking, am I doing enough? I'll start asking, am I being true to myself? There's a difference between being busy and being fulfilled. Slowness invites fulfillment. It invites depth. It invites meaning. And it gently reminds you, you are not a machine. You are not made for constant output. You are a person, a soul, a living rhythm. You deserve to rest simply because you exist. You deserve to be gentle with yourself. Even if the world keeps spinning fast, let it. You can choose stillness. Yes. You can choose presence. And in that choice, you reclaim yourself. You reclaim your joy, your breath, your peace. It's not selfish to slow down. It's wise. It's necessary. So breathe, pause, let go, and trust that nothing is wasted in stillness. Not your time, not your worth, not your life. Sometimes doing nothing is the most meaningful thing you can do. This is quiet philosophy, where thinking isn't loud, and life doesn't need to be either. Subscribe if you haven't already, not for noise, but for something you can actually feel.